Alison, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. I was very excited about this conversation because I'm familiar with Mark Taylor, and I know that you guys have been working on some very interesting things. And so maybe we can set the context with our audience by you telling us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Mark Taylor and what's happening there.
Absolutely, would be happy to. So I oversee our consulting department at Mark Taylor, as well as our communications and project management. And Mark Taylor, as you know, it has been around for 40 years in the property management business and the development business. So we develop multifamily communities, Class A luxury. We property manage them. And as of late, we consult on clients for them. So we really go above and beyond and harness all that internal knowledge that we have. And we've expanded our services. But, where I fit into everything is I'm helping grow our consulting platform, which is taking that knowledge and bringing it to the clients who need it. We've, for about 4 years, had clients that are asking us, from the beginning of the asset life cycle, if we can partner with them there, if we can improve their marketing, if we can rebrand, things like that. So it's really this full picture that we're helping bring to clients and grow. So that's where I fit in.
Got it. Excellent. Thank you for doing that. So 40 years of industry knowledge. I know much of that is specific to the Phoenix market and I think the Nevada or Las Vegas market, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But my imagination tells me a lot of the fundamental principles that you've learned over the last 40 years are certainly applicable across the geographies of the United States. Is that fair to say?
Yes, we do specialize in Arizona and we're in Las Vegas as well, but we've had this footprint in the Phoenix metro area for the past 40 years, and it is unique compared to other markets, even though our knowledge does apply to other markets. So it's really amazing to work with John and Michael, who have been here at Mark Taylor and in this business for 20 plus years. So the amount of historical data and just knowledge, they've been through all the economic ups and downs and they know how to handle them. And it's really taking that knowledge and bringing them outside to clients who, maybe a client is a developer but is new to the Phoenix market. We have some of those, maybe they've been around, but they're struggling with these, economic headwinds and they need some marketing and lead generation support. It can be any number of things, but we're primarily experts in Phoenix for sure and Las Vegas as well.
Excellent. Talk to us about, so consulting is a big word. I know we're talking about multifamily, so that narrows the scope a little bit, but I know there are different aspects of property management in the multifamily space. So let's unpack Mark Taylor consulting kind of division by division, so to speak.
Sure. So I'll start from the big picture, right? So we have at Mark Taylor, we have Mark Taylor Development, Mark Taylor Residential, and Mark Taylor Consulting. Now, development, we have developed 72 Class A properties in the Phoenix area and have retained management on about 12 of them. And then residential, we third-party manage as well. So we have about 100 plus communities that we third-party manage in this area in Las Vegas. And then when it comes to consulting, that's where it's taking that, pulling that knowledge and bringing it to those outside of traditional property management. So I'll give you a couple of different examples. Traditional property management, it starts with the selection of management, which is, a few months out from the actual opening of the property. But the journey starts way before that, right? So it starts years before that. That's and right. We've been finding out that, with the selection of land, with just knowledge about the submarkets, asset types, because we've managed and leased up the most BTR that there is, I think, in the nation. And all of those different things that you need to know ahead of the game, raising equity, just navigating the whole process, getting a construction loan. All these things are steps that come way before that traditional property management agreement. So we can be on board now with some of the internal knowledge that we have to take you step by step through those couple of years of steps that roll into a property management agreement. A couple of the other steps that people maybe don't necessarily think about but are necessary are the branding. What are you going to name your property? What are the colors going to be? What audience are you appealing to? What are the demographics? What's going to land with them? And then the marketing part of it, right? So it's what does your website look like? What advertising are you using? What CRM are you using? All those aspects. And then if you also think technology, you're thinking about, what smart home technology am I using? What access control am I using? What Wi-Fi? So there's really so many things that you need to think about. And that's a lot of different pieces of knowledge, right? So you need the IT knowledge, you need the marketing knowledge, the branding knowledge, but then you also need that, just development and property management knowledge. So what we've really done is we've rolled that into this package and say, hey, we can consult with you from day one if you want to know everything that we know from doing this for 40 years from a developer's and a property manager's perspective. So we kind of take people through the whole journey and consolidate. So I'm sure you've had this experience where if you're working on a project, whether it's a development or any sort of project, you're probably using a number of different sources, vendors. I'm planning a wedding, for example, and I can tell you that coordinating, a million different vendors for the same goal is really challenging, and it consolidates those resources. So it's just, we're here, just ask us. We kind of know everything through the asset management lifecycle, and we know the good partners. We work with them. We have these strong relationships, so we can kind of take care of that for you. So it's just the whole package.
It makes sense. It's interesting. I'm smiling not only for the wedding planning, but also, on the pre-dev side, when you're sourcing for land and you're putting together everything that is associated with that. Sometimes in this industry, especially, people, let's use the word ego, get your ego involved, and you think, I can figure all this stuff out. I can make all those phone calls. I can shepherd all this stuff through the process. But the value of a really good consultant who understands who to call, when to call, what to ask it's just hugely valuable. How much time would you estimate that you save on the front side? And I know sometimes cities move slow, but for the client trying to figure out that, how much time do you think you save a client in that process?
It really depends based off of client, but that's an excellent question. I would say upwards of many hours a week, 10, 20, whether it's, just pulling together, for example, like with a construction loan, just pulling together like everything you need for that. What information do you need? What is important to highlight? What's going on in the submarket? That all takes, probably it could take up to 20 hours or more, depending on how robust you need it to be. And when you just say, hey, here's the information we have. Can you guys do this for me? We have the internal knowledge from a development perspective with our managing directors and our development team. We have the communications team that can like make it all clear and work together. And then we have the creative team who can brand it, make it your own, all of that. So it's kind of just calling us and saying, hey, this is what my goal is. Can you do this? And it really just depends on the request. I think with the pre-development process, it, really goes in waves in terms of like, okay, now it's go time, now it's not. So it really just depends on the week.
It totally makes sense to me. Let's kind of like segue into, you're actually designing a community. So you're going through the permitting process, I'm running concurrent, you're designing the product, and certainly having constructed 72 different projects in the Phoenix market, there's a tremendous amount of internal knowledge or institutional knowledge as it relates to what works in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. Kind of walk us through, like, when you're sitting with a client and you're talking to them about community design, what are some of the highlights that you come up with?
Yeah, and I think it's different based off of what they need, but unit mix is always a big question. So it's kind of like you have to pair that with demographics, and are you going to have storage space, and are you going to have parking, and what's your parking ratio? So there's kind of your standard mix, and then of course our portfolio development team underwrites the rents and make sure everything works together. But based off of what that particular client needs, we hook them up with the consultant or the team of consultants in-house. So I really facilitate that relationship. So I'm not like the expert on, say pre-development development, but I know all of them and we have them all in-house. So I hook them up with, I hear out their needs basically. We have this discovery session, and then I say, okay, you could use, Jake Taylor, who has, owned multifamily assets himself, or you could use, our portfolio development team who has all the latest data, or you could use our marketing director. So I'm really the matchmaker, if you will. So I wouldn't say I'm the subject matter expert on that, but there's definitely a wide array of needs when it comes to that process.
And is it fair? I'm taking a right turn here,
Mm-hmm.
uh, or a left turn, whichever you choose. The when you're thinking, you've introduced another product, and as I understand the product, I've never used it. It's the data collection or data analysis. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, and I apologize for that. But
Is it
using
multifamily metrics that you're referring to?
yes,
Yes.
is that part of your arsenal as it relates to
Mm-hmm.
you doing the development and how you share that? Can you talk a little
Yeah,
bit
I
about
can definitely fit those puzzle pieces together. So
yes?
when we think about Mark Taylor Consulting, if you don't know us, you might want a sort of a taste of like what historical data we have. You might just need a little bit of supplemental knowledge about our market. So we release 7 different reports per month through a paid subscription service. Even if, for people who aren't consulting with us yet, that really walks them through the latest and greatest in the market, right? So whether it's, capital markets or employment or absorption, it really takes people through like what's the latest data that you need to know. And that's called Multifamily Metrics. So that's our subscription service.
Understood. Yeah, and that was just released not too long ago. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes, it's fairly recent. Earlier this year was the first time we officially released it. It's something that we've been doing in house for a long time. So actually, John, for our president, for a long time has gone through and really authored these reports himself with the help of the portfolio development team. And we kind of took a look at them, and he wanted to share this data more broadly, and people would of course pay for that knowledge because it's such good nuggets to have and to have in real time. So now our portfolio development team pulls together those narratives each month. And then every quarter, John actually still authors the quarterly himself. We kind of package it together and send it out to all our clients and our multifamily metrics subscribers. So it's almost like a small taste of consulting if you don't need the full bite.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Let's shift. Okay, so now we've used metrics and data to assist in helping clients develop communities. Marketing and branding, you touched on that briefly. Marketing and branding is a huge thing. And I think I'll make this statement. I don't necessarily believe this, but somebody said trying to brand an apartment community and or a property management company is a lost art or something that is just not even possible. Would you debate that and then talk a little bit about how important marketing and branding is in the launch of a new asset?
Yeah, so I would say the opposite. I would say it is more essential than ever. And I think that, from a marketing perspective, there's a lot of competition out there, right? There's a lot of different ways of searching and competing interests. And there's a lot of noise in general that's going on in just our day to day. So having the marketing that really hits the demographics and hits your target audience is really helpful. So, and branding as well. So to start that process, you really have to understand, okay, demographics, what is my target audience in this area making? What are they doing for fun? What amenities would they want? How do they think and what are their goals and what are their uses? If you have, a Gen Z population or you have students, they're probably going to want to congregate, hang out, do different things. They're probably going to have different interests. So you really have to tailor it to that specific demographic. And when you brand it, you want to, make sure in terms of like the marketing of it all that you're not doing something that is not easily searchable. So if you, for example, like Google, if you want to name your community Mark Taylor, if you Google Mark Taylor, we're going to interfere with a few of those searches. So it's probably not the best name to have. But so you want to keep in mind all the keywords and everything, and our marketing teams are the experts on that. And then you want to make sure that it's branded in a way that is visually appealing, will work in multifamily specifically, because some things that are designed maybe just for digital won't work for like interior design and things like that. So you want to make sure that it's very much a seamless flow. And then from the marketing perspective, I mean, that's crucial to your operations, especially. You need those leads coming in. You need the right leads coming in. You need to understand their like buyer behavior, especially in a renter's market where they probably have a lot of options, a lot of concessions going on. So you need to stand out from the crowd. So our marketing team and our creative team are really those experts in tailoring it specifically. And then you got to have the right CRM. We have a centralized CRM, and we take advantage of texting and email and all of those things. But that's really necessary at this point.
Yeah, I totally agree with all of those things that you said. It brought to mind, if you were to say what, because I do think that Mark Taylor is a very special brand in the marketplace. I just do. I've traveled and lived all around the country, and there's just something that sets it apart. I want to hear from your perspective. What do you think really sets Mark Taylor apart from the competition?
Well, I would say that there's a lot of legacy that we have a company that is somehow translated into our brand. I think that the teams do it really well. But you get the sense of, modern luxury that is high quality. And I think that it's important that when you walk in, all of the different, like even down to the Mark Taylor mat that you walk on, everything is very familiar. It is that high quality that you're used to. The same smell is there. The staff, it gives the same 5-star service. They're known for, the landscaping and the cleanliness in the Mark Taylor communities. So, and then when you think about different asset types, you take it to there, and it's really that full experience. But then the team is able to encapsulate it in the branding and the marketing as well. It's with the branding, they've refreshed it a little bit so that they've taken it into a bit of a modern age, but they still have most of the same colors and everything. They were just able to update it and give it those subtle twists that let you know that we're not changing completely, but we're definitely evolving as we go.
What I think is so special about what you just said, and I'm going to use the smell, right? You use that as an example. And I think it is so important to understand that when a consumer is going through a buying experience, they're registering a lot of things subconsciously, like smell, like things that they hear you say, and so on and so forth. So all these things are going into this collective decision-making thing we call a mind or a brain. And that, it's, they get home at the end of the evening after looking at a whole bunch of apartments, and what differentiates you is some of that stuff that they don't necessarily, right? They just heard it, or they saw it, or they felt it. So that's super important.
Absolutely. It's all very much designed to be welcoming and home-like. And they really accomplished that with all the senses and all the digital things that we put out there. So it's something that we really pride ourselves on.
Now, you've been with the firm 3 years, plus minus?
3 years.
3 years. And I'm curious, you've lived the experience from a culture perspective, and we're going to get back to consulting in just a second, but I'm always interested to hear from a, somebody that works there, somebody that lives in it every single day. What is it that is imbued in your mind that sort of comes out in your process of, sourcing for clients out in the marketplace?
Yeah, I think our really foundation is being people focused. And we, I know everyone says that, but when you get in here, and, I've been here for 3 years, I am from Maryland, so I'm not even from this side of the country. You just immediately feel welcomed by the team. And, we have the leadership team that no matter who you are, you can walk right into their office. They have an open door policy. New ideas are welcome. Anything is welcome. And I really do think that carries out and translates, the relationship that we have with our clients is really close. The relationship that we have with our residents as well. We have residents that refer to it as, oh, I'm living at a Mark Taylor instead of I'm living at San Cervantes, which is so unique. And I have never seen that before. Coming from living in Baltimore, it was, you didn't know the management company at all, but actually that trust has been created. So people will go to a Mark Taylor. But I absolutely feel it every day. And it's something we really are protective of and try and emulate with all of our people. And, I will say, if you walk into the office, and I have a wonderful team. If you just walk in there, you'll be laughing within 5 minutes. I promise you that. And I think that that sense of like genuine joy to be here really carries through.
I noticed you were recently doing, I think it was in Team Member Appreciation Day, and you posted something on LinkedIn that you were out, and you were smiling and laughing, I think, when in the
Yeah.
photo that you saw. So yeah, I think you're right. The culture just screams of something that is larger than self, and people just want to be a part of. So it's like a giant family, so to speak. Okay,
Absolutely.
back to consulting. Public relations is another offering that you have, or another service that you offer. So let's unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, and this is one of those that could be a second thought. My expertise very much lies in communications and public relations. And with public relations, that's one of those things that you think is seamless, that when you do communications and public relations right, you almost are just like, aware of something. And if you think about it, it's very strategic and it's planned out, and it can go wrong and it can go right. And, we really believe in getting out there. We have some fantastic leaders that, like, John is constantly speaking and doing these things, and really spreading the word about what we're doing at Mark Taylor. And that is all really intentional, and it's that orchestrated effort. And that's why you continue to hear about Mark Taylor. We have the public relations, and we also have the quality to back it up. And I think that when we're dealing with consulting clients, that's something that's an important piece of just the whole cycle. When it comes up to your opening, you want to create that hype, you want people to find you, you want to highlight all the good things about it. If you have something that's a differentiator, you absolutely want to highlight that, and spread the word, because it really makes an impact. This is more marketing related, but even the banners on the side of the road, that say it's opening, people see those and drive in. So it's that mix of public relations and marketing. They're reading local journals, and clients are reading them as well, and it's an integral piece of creating a brand. Another example of that is with CSR, corporate social responsibility. You'll see companies that are out there doing CSR, and they pick a cause that is important to them, as we do homelessness, hunger, and veterans. And it really ties in with our mission, but it's showing people that when we open a new community, we're providing great places to live, but we're also helping the community in a very genuine way that creates that connection, and that's what we're all about. So we try and have the same things for our clients within their specific brand. If there's something that their community is doing or they're passionate about, or just to spread the word, because you really have to be discoverable, and you can have an amazing product, but if people don't know it's there, that is, probably going to harm you. So we want to make sure that mix is very seamless as you go through that asset life cycle.
Definitely. I think it's interesting to me. I've been in this business for a long time. We'll just leave it at that. But I've done surveys across all of those years as it relates to communication, internal and external. Generally, internally, team members think that the company doesn't do enough communication. And then when you do a really good job and you overdo it, you get sometimes critiqued for doing too much.
Yes.
you can't read it all. So
it's that balance, right? It's you need to know, like, it's all about the audience. So it really depends on your audience, and knowing need to know versus want to know information. And it's important for internal communications, external communications, resident communications. Residents do not want to know if you fixed, the landscaping over there. They want to know, things that truly affect them, and it's being, clear and timely and concise and not too much. So again, it's interesting how it works, but both externally, internally, great strategic communications. You just know the things that you need to know, and you're connected to what you need to be connected. And sometimes you don't even realize it, but if it's too much, you definitely realize it. And if it's not enough, you're left wondering, or you're left creating your own narrative.
Definitely. Very well put. Okay. I want to shift gears and talk about career tracks, right? You're a female in the real estate space. Going back again, been in the industry a very long bit of time, predominantly dominated, at least in the upper echelons of the business, by males. And although I will tell you, I have always worked for and reported to females. And I got to tell you, there is a clear difference between those two kinds of leadership styles. And for my personal experience, I always admired the female leaders in my life. Not that I didn't admire the males, but I always felt more well fed. Talk to us about your attraction to multifamily, your career thus far in multifamily, and what you see are some of the trends as it relates to females making their way into the space, because I love it.
Yeah, I've been really lucky to have both male and female leaders in my past, in Maryland, and then here as well. And it's just, I think the environment here, there's so much opportunity and growth in general. And in multifamily, in Phoenix, like it's really that perfect combination of if you really put in the work and go after the opportunities, they're there. And we have a leadership team that is just so supportive of, different types of people. Like if they put in the work, they make the results, they want to see them be rewarded. And, we also have, many sayings here, but one of them is like, fail quickly and then, get up and try again. Just, progress, not perfection. So we really are a fan of just those who innovate, who keep moving, who, have that confidence and believe in themselves. And, we have, male and female on, my teams as well. And, that mix of different personalities and styles is incredible. And it really lends itself to building each other up. And I think that, I've been really just fortunate and grateful to be, really just given opportunity and supported, regardless of who I am.
I love it. I just, having been around a long bit of time and made observation of a lot of different things, I've just, I'm really excited about the future as it relates to people making their way in the space. I do want to key off something that you said, doing the work. I often say putting in the reps. Talk to me about that, because it's, look, every generation argues about the generation, after and not working hard enough. But what does doing the work look like to you specifically?
Well, I think I will say generationally, it's interesting that some say that because, we're more connected than ever. Just
true.
There are things that can happen around the clock that need to happen, but, that's not the case most of the time. But I think that you just need to be the type of person that like can picture the goalpost and really work towards moving for that. So yes, there are some longer days, some shorter days. There's definitely room for fun, but I think being results driven and seeing that goalpost and also seeing the whole picture and how all the cogs work together is an integral part, because you can, say you can write a communication and just think of it only as that isolated piece. But what about the operational pieces, and what about the change management, and what about, the different stakeholders? And there's so many different things that if you're looking at things and you're able to look at things strategically and from that bird's eye view, it just makes it so much easier. And you're seeing, when I speak about that goalpost, you're seeing the organizational goalpost, not Allie's goalpost. You're seeing how you can benefit other people, and that's going to ultimately benefit you.
That makes a lot of sense. It's, the thing that struck me, that came to mind as you were walking through that, is the ability to critically think is part of the hard work, right? It's one thing to use your example to write a communication, but to think about how that impacts or influences or informs all the other aspects of the business is quite an exercise mentally, right? Some people
Absolutely.
just stop. They don't follow through with
Yes.
that.
It is, but I think that's what keeps it challenging and exciting and motivating. And, when I first came into Mark Taylor, there wasn't necessarily a sophisticated communication structure yet. Mm-hmm. And I was able to like kind of build that piece by piece in a way that was tailored to the organizational needs. So I think that's where you create real value, right? When you say, okay, this is an area that can be strategic and can be proactive instead of reactive. And you kind of build that piece by piece until you reach that goalpost.
That makes sense. Talk to me. Do you have other pieces of advice for people that are coming up into the multifamily space? Other pieces of advice that you might give to them along that track?
Yeah, I would say that relationships are everything, because it's almost like a small town sometimes. You have a lot of the same players that have, been in it for decades. And I think that is part of the reason why John and Michael and Mark Taylor have been so successful, is because they have those trusted relationships in this space specifically. But I would also say that multifamily, we have a lot of innovating to do in terms of us as an industry. So that really means a lot of opportunity. So whether you're in operations and you're working on centralization, or you're really refining, communications and the inner workings of a distributed workforce, like we have done, there's a lot of different areas of opportunity, and there's not always a multifamily standard for them. So if you can see the challenges as opportunities instead of just roadblocks, then your perspective starts to shift.
That makes a ton of sense, and you are so right about all the innovation that we need to do in our space.
Thank you.
It seems like I know it's cliche at this point, but we are. People say we lag every other industry in the world. Frankly, that our ability to adopt technology, make application of it, has just been pretty slow. From your purview, what types of innovation do you see it, especially as it relates to when you're out consulting clients? What types of innovation are you talking about? Both things that are in place today, but things that you see coming around the bend.
Yeah, well, I'll expand on centralization because that is probably the biggest one. And I know that we've all been hearing about it for probably about a year or two, or maybe more, and everyone's been kind of working on it in their space. But that's something that's coming, and it's, not stopping. And it's something that we are really working on refining. And we're kind of almost at that finish line. But that's the way of the future, because when you have 100 and plus communities, you need to harness the power and the work of one organization, not silo 100 different or 100 different ones and operate like different companies. It's like, you need to tap into the full power of Mark Taylor, not just San RTs, you know what I mean? And I think that we're able to do that, and we're able to take people who have been really experienced at Mark Taylor, know the Mark Taylor way, and centralize them and support our communities and just get more and more efficient. And so that's something I think everyone has been trying to figure out, but it is truly going to be the way of the future. And if you look at other industries, they're centralized. If they have a big system and you're, calling into a concierge or you're calling into support, they have this system set up so that they can be more effective for the customer and more efficient for the client. So that's truly the way that we're headed.
I think you're so right. It's the fact that we're being influenced by the Apples and the Amazons and the Googles and the Ubers of the world. And, people live in our communities are influenced by these other brands, and they start to expect that your brand makes the same offering. So I think you're 100% right.
Yes.
It's getting
I will say, if you think about the big giants and those that are centralized, sometimes you lose quality and customer service. And those are things that we're really focused on keeping, because, you want to make sure that the resident experience, the customer experience is still being upheld. So I think there are some things that can get lost. If, some banks or some, big organizations, for example, do it really well, where it's like, okay, if you have a good experience, you can find your answer. Boom. I'm always going to text you. I'm not going to, go through like the in-person appointment. I can't remember the last time I made an in-person appointment for a bank, but you figure everything out because you have those resources. So we're really laser focused on, we're known for this quality, and that's something we're protective of. So we need to make sure that is not lost in just how big we get.
Yeah, you couldn't be any more right. And I think that point that you made about not sacrificing the consumer experience is very relevant today because you're seeing the broader market get squeezed a little bit by rent growth coming down, the cost side of the equation going up, and the first thought in most operators' minds is, oh, we've got to cut this or that or the other thing. But most of those things touch the consumer experience. You got to be very careful. And I imagine there's a big part of consulting that really speaks to that point.
Yeah, you have to know what's essential, what's not essential, what's going to be the cause and effect of certain things. And, we will, like, the market will pick up again, and you want to have a great product. And, I know our clients do as well. So it's committing to not sacrificing to that quality, but finding different strategic ways to do so. And, for example, centralization is one that can save costs without sacrificing that quality. So it's making sure that you still maintain that quality.
Definitely. Now, I should have asked this at the beginning, but I forgot. The consulting service is not only available to a clientele that actually comes on to build a property that you ultimately manage. It is open to everyone. Is that the audience is whoever needs your service?
Absolutely. So, it can work from day one throughout the cycle, or it can be, hey, we're building BTR in, this market that, you guys maybe don't reach, but we know you are the BTR, lease up king. So what do we do here? So it can be really any piece or part of it. If you want to call us and just have a consulting call where we go through your finances, or we tell you about the market, or you just want to peek into some of the things we do, we're really available, customized to clients' needs. So whether you want the whole package, you can find it all here, but we're available piece by piece as well.
Excellent. Okay. Is there anything that I have not asked you that you would like to talk about?
I feel like we covered a good amount of them. But I will expand on the customization piece a little bit more. I think that, when clients come to us, it's, they have their expertise, and it could be in development, or it could be in marketing. It could be in a variety of different things. And that's why we're kind of flexible. So, a big piece of my job is to find out what you need, and then hook you up with the in-house resources that are the same, that work on our Mark Taylor communities, and have been through that and are now available for consulting. So we're really flexible to the needs of others. And it's just kind of, if you don't know what those needs are, that's really our job as well, that we can tell you what you're not thinking of. If you say, I think I've thought of everything, but, we'll say, well, did you think about this, or did you think about that?
That makes sense. I'd like to key off of that. So I'm a potential client. I call you up, kind of walk me through, I'm going to call it a discovery phase, but walk me through that discovery phase so that if, somebody watching this wants to engage with your services, they kind of have a thumbnail sketch of what they're looking forward to.
Absolutely. So I'll typically, whether you call me on the phone or email, I'll ask, a little bit about your situation so that I can bring on the proper consultants, and we'll have a discovery call. And if it's, say, development, I'll bring on Jake, who I mentioned, or if it's, something specific to that would be in John's wheelhouse, I'll even bring on John. It really just depends. And we'll have a discovery call where we'll walk through, what's the situation, what's your goals, and try to understand that. And then we take it to, we enter an agreement, and we, kind of project manage you and account manage you through the process, where you have sort of this one point of contact that is gathering all the information. So you may be getting your information from me, or I'll be delivering your product, but I'll be using, 10 different people from all of our different teams based off of what you need, and delivering that to you. Or, we'll have a call with the proper consultant if you just want to talk through things. So I'm kind of your entry to all things Mark Taylor that you could need. And what I love about it is it's the same resources that have worked on our assets. So, managing directors that have worked on our assets. If it's a high rise, for example, we have a managing director who's worked on high rises and can tell you all the intricacies of like downtown Phoenix and the things that you need to think about. So I really tap on the diversity of expertise and bring it all to you in one package. And it's really just about making it easy to find answers. So if it's an answer that we use a third party for, I'll grab that and deliver it to you. So that's kind of what the journey looks like.
Very good. I really appreciate you unpacking that. I think if an audience member is interested, it's always nice to have a little thumbnail sketch of what you're going to expect in the experience. So I'll tell you what, this has been wonderful. Let me give you an endorsement, by the way. I kid you not. If you've not experienced Mark Taylor firsthand, being in Phoenix, or you've not heard about them out on the internet or in the interwebs, it is really quite different, at least from my perspective. And somebody who's been in the operations of multifamily for 30 plus or minus years, it's a big deal. They're very
I really appreciate that. We love it, and I'm super happy to be here. So I back that up.
Definitely. All right, Alison. Well, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you investing a little bit of it with us here at Multifamily Collective. Where can people find out more about the consulting services, or how can they get in touch with you directly?
So they can go to marktaylor.com/consulting, or they can email consulting@mark-taylor.com, or just, find me on LinkedIn and give me a call or shoot me a message, and I'll always answer.
Well, thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And for everyone else, we'll see you next time on Multifamily Collective.